go to Mike Klis right now, who covers the Broncos on a daily basis for the Denver Post, to talk about the Broncos possibly losing Jack Del Rio to the Oakland Raiders. We expect an announcement anytime soon. But Mike, it is not quite official yet. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, I've got two people kind of real close to the situation, and they say it's not done yet. So it's going to be done, guys. You know, it's just but we've known it's going to be done for a couple of days now. It's just a matter of getting it done. I know there is a report out there saying it is. I've been told differently.
Let me ask you this: assuming he does take the job, and I as a political analyst, I have declared that Jack Del Rio will be the next coach of the Oakland Raiders. But I understand what you're saying. Who do you think of this staff he would take with him? And if Adam Gase were able to get a job, and I talked to people in San Francisco who maintain he's the number one candidate because they loved him when he was there as a young assistant and thought he was future head coaching candidate, and he seems to be the who of these assistant coaches would you think would go with the two coordinators, or who of these would go if John Fox ends up in Chicago, if you could speculate about that?
Well, yeah, it's you know, the report that all these guys are fired, but actually the way it works is, you know, there's no guarantee. You're still under contract with the Broncos, I think, till free agency starts, the league season, which is mid-March. But, you know, you take a job somewhere else because there's no guarantee the new Broncos coach is going to have a job for you. He's going to want his own coordinators. The coordinators are going to want their own position coaches. But the one guy that has followed Jack Del Rio around is Corey Unlin, the Broncos secondary coach. He was in Jacksonville with Del Rio. He followed him here to Denver. From what I understand, Unlin, though, is highly thought of around the league, and he might have all kinds of opportunities. I would think Fox would take Jeff Rodgers, special teams coordinators, all the guys that came with him from Carolina. I'm not sure about Dave Magazoo, the offensive line coach. I think even if Fox stayed with the Broncos, I'm not sure the Broncos would have retained him. They might have wanted a new it's one of those deals you can't fire 5 offensive linemen. They might have got a new offensive line coach, but he might go with Fox. Tyke Tolbert, the receivers coach, he came over with Fox. And as far as Adam Gase, I'm not sure. Clancy Barone is a guy that's independent. He might go with Del Rio. Rick Smith, the linebackers coach. Jay Rogers, the defensive line coach. I'm not sure who's attached to who, but I think. And then there's hope that Eric Studesville is going to stay here. He might be the one position coach that stays. But that
Mike, I said that I thought Studesville, you and I are on the same page there. I thought that Studesville was the one guy out of this entire staff. But let's assume what we just talked about there. I refer to what's going on at Dove Valley as chaos, and I would call it controlled chaos because I think John Elway knows exactly what he's doing. But when you have both coordinators, the head coach, and all but maybe one or two coaches gone, that's a chaotic situation for the players and everyone in Denver to think about.
Well, it's an unprecedented situation. I can't imagine there's ever been a 12-4 team, Woody, that came off a playoff bye that in short order is going to have a head coach and 2 coordinators filling 3 head coaching positions elsewhere within 72 hours of an upset loss. It's an unusual situation. I think it's never mind the chaos at Del Valley. I think it's something that the league ought to look into as far as and really the Broncos, in light of this situation, I think are a little behind the 8 ball because they're getting started a little later than the other teams. For instance, it doesn't look like, because they started so late in the divisional round, teams that interviewed Dan Quinn a week ago, the Seattle defensive coordinator, they can interview him for a second time during the Super Bowl bye week. But the Broncos are still looking for an interpretation from the league. They may not be able to interview Quinn because it would be the first time. and there's rules against interviewing people during the Super Bowl bye week the first time. So it's going to be the Broncos may, when this is all said and done. I know they don't want to wait till after the Super Bowl, but it may be that they don't hold their press conference to introduce their new head coach till a couple days after the Super Bowl.
I believe the number is 17 unrestricted free agents that the Broncos have right now. A number of them are on defense, including guys like, stalwarts like Terrence Knighton and Raheem Moore. Do you believe there are any players on the defensive side of the ball who are unrestricted who are going to be unhappy that Jack Del Rio is leaving and might want to leave themselves?
No. I think there's 12 unrestricted free agents, by the way. There might be 5 more restricted. I don't pay attention to restricted free agents too much because those guys never go anywhere. But you're talking on the defensive side, you're talking Terrence Knight. Terrence wants money. He doesn't care who his coach is. If the Raiders give him money, he'll play for Jack Del Rio again. He'll play with them in Jacksonville, Denver, and for the Oakland Raiders. If John Fox and the Chicago Bears give him money, he'll go play for the Chicago Bears. If it's the Broncos, I do think the Broncos are going to make an attempt to re-sign Terrence Knighton. I'm not sure it'll be the type of money he's looking for, but I do think the Broncos will make an attempt to bring him back. Raheem Moore is a unrestricted free agent, and I'm not sure where the Broncos there. I think where Raheem might. I'm fairly confident Moore is going to be able to test the market. And
I would think you were talking about that. When we talk about those numbers, and people kind of are shock value, but Marvin Austin Jr. was a backup. And you have Mitch Unrain, you have other people. So we should mention that several of those unrestricted free agents are not guys. Raheem Moore, I don't think he's going to get a lot of attention around the league. He carries with him a heavy weight that I think and Terrence claims he'll take a, quote, hometown discount to stay here. But again, I think that's pure advanced speculation because who knows what the new coach is going to do. I just go back to what we were talking about, Mike, and you said it. This is unprecedented in Denver Broncos history, and certainly here that you have these many changes. I think you have to go back to John Ralston, who was 9-5 in his final year and got dumped as both general manager and coach by the ownership. And there really hasn't been anything like that, even if you consider Shanahan and Reeves and how they left here. It's almost hard for us to sit here and swallow of what all this happened, and that you possibly lose the quarterback, although I think Mike agrees with me that Peyton's not going to finish his career like what happened on Sunday. He's going to come back.
Yeah, I think Peyton was fine with the coaching change. He liked John Fox. They were pretty close, but I think he's been through coaching changes before. He went through it in Indianapolis. I think he went through 3 coaching changes in Indianapolis: Mora, Dungy, and then Caldwell. And then, this isn't. And the notion that Peyton's going to be part of the coaching search, I'm not sure how Peyton Manning can be involved in picking a coach if he's going to retire in a week. I think he has to get his own career in order before he worries about who's going to coach him. I think the coach will be
Mike, it's
first,
great that you joined us. We appreciate your insight.
He's still talking.
Sorry,
Mike. You want to finish your thought?
I just said, what was I talking about? Peyton probably will, sit down with the coach. I think the coach will be picked, and then Peyton will sit down with the coach, and that'll be part of his decision, whether he comes back or not. I don't think it'll be the other way around where Peyton helps pick the coach.
Coming on last second and giving us that news that Del Rio, in all probability, will go to Oakland, but it hasn't been made official yet. I really appreciate it.
Mike's the best. Thank you, Mike.
Mike Klis, the Denver Post.